everyone, welcome to my video. In this video, I will explain you about introduction to C++ programming language. We will discuss several topics in this chapter. First, introduction to C++. Then we will discuss about basic data types. After that, we will discuss about various operators. And then we will discuss how to use input and output in C++ programming language. And the last, I will show you a simple case using C++ programming language. Let's start with brief introduction of C++ programming language. The C++ programming language was the development of C programming language. The term of C++ is often known as C with classes. It's because the C++ programming language has supported object-oriented programming as well as Java programming language. You must know that all the existing library on the C programming language has also been included in the C++ programming language. First, I will discuss about the compiler. Compiler is a software that used to change the source code into machine language or binary file, so it can be executed by the computer. The program will be well compiled if the program contains no error at all in these rules, so there is no syntax error in the program. The example of popular C or C++ compiler are MinGW and GCC. This compiler usually has been packaged or bundled with its IDE software. IDE or Integrated Development Environment software is an integrated interface with the facilities including a compiler for creating or developing the program. The popular and open source C or C++ IDE software that are CodeBlock, DevC++, and Sublime. You must know that the C++ programming language has case-sensitive characteristics. It means the compiler distinguishes uppercase and lowercase letters. For example, if we write printf and printf with uppercase in the C++ programming language, the compiler will consider both of the texts are in different meanings. In the practical of C++ programming language today, we are going to use the C++ software, which one of IDE software and also as the open source compiler program. There are various parts that support the making of a program created by the C++ programming language. First is comment. Comment is part of the source code which cannot be executed by the compiler. And the comments are considered importantly to clarify the program to be more easily understood and provide information on specific part of source code. Usually without comment, people will be hard to understand the flow of the source code that have been made. Therefore, the comments are needed in order to make our code more informative. And then the second is identifier. Identifier is the name given by the programmer. Programmer is the person who created the program. Naming an identifier can be used in the program name, the name of the function, or the other objects that involved in the programming language. For example, variable names, constant name, and we will discuss it later. And the third part is keyword. Keywords are specific words that contain special meaning in the programming language. In C++ programming language, the example of keywords are class, delete, friend, inline, new, operator, private, protected, public, and so on. The words are considered as keywords according to the standard of programming language should not be used as an identifier name. And the next is library of function. In contrast with the keyword, Library of function is library that contains the function provided by the C++ programming language in the header file or the library. The functions are used to perform a particular task. Functions are grouped according to the type and characteristic and also stored in a file with an extension is .h. For example, a function cout, which is stored in the library file iostream.h, and cout is used to print on the screen. Default function of the C language, for example printf, from the studio.h library can also be used in C++ if we write hashtag include and then studio.h at the beginning of the program. Then I will show you the example of program structure in C++. You can see in this image, the first line is double slash and then my first program in C++. This is a command line that begins with two slash, or we can use slash and then star, star and then slash as using in line seg for command line. And the command line has no effect on the program, and in this case, this command line is used to describe a piece of code that made by programmer. The second line is hashtag and then include iostream. It starts by hashtag, and this line is preprocessor line, and in this case, include iostream set to include iostream standard library file or header file. And this file includes the declaration of the basic standard function in C++ language. Functions that commonly are used by beginner programmer of the iostream library, for example, cin, cout, systempost, and so on. And the third line is using namespace std. And this line tells the compiler that the program is written using standard C++ library. Sometimes, with the using namespace std, programmer does not need to write the .h extension or writing the standard C++ library or header. And then the next is integer main. This line is a main function. This line is the core of the program that may include variable, assignment, statement, or comments. This line consists of a series of source code that begins with the opening curly brace mark and closing curly brace mark. Curly brace mark is also called code blocks that show where the main function begins and ends. So when a function is called, the content were enclosed by a block of code to be executed. And the next line is cout hello world. This line is a statement of C++. A statement is a simple expression that can produce several effects. Cout statement represents the command of standard output in C++. Cout is declared in the iostream standard header file within the namespace std. So this code is used to display hello world sentence. Notice that the statement ends with a semicolon character. This character is used to mark the end of all the statement and must be written at the end of all expression statement in C++ program. And then the last is return 0. Return instruction causes the main function terminated and returns the code that follows the instruction. In this case is 0. Return 0 is the most commonly used to end the C++ program. Before we discussing more about programming, first, you must know the basic data types commonly used in C++. Data type is the type of data based on the content and its characteristic. For example, the same analogy with daily case is gallon of water, which is made to accommodate certain types of object. And for this case, gallon of water just contains liquid. The basic data types in programming such as follow. First is integer. Integer type commonly called as an integer. But the integer type does not only consist of an integer. There are other types such as short and long. And the difference between integers short and long is range of the number. And the second is real. This type is used to declare value that require precision number with the value behind the comma or fraction value behind decimal point, such as double, single, and float. We can use double, single, and float to declare the real value. And the next is char. Char is the type of data that used to store a character. And then string. String is the type of data in the form of a collection of characters, one or more characters, that lies between two quotation marks in C++. And the last is Boolean. Boolean is the data type that used to express the statement is true or false. And you can see this is the range of data types. The range of each data types are different. These pictures show a range of various data types, for example, char, integer, long, float, double, and long double. You can see the range of point and degree of precision for each type in this image. Okay, and then I will tell you about variable. Variable is a place to store data with specified type, and the contents of data can be changed according to the type. Each of variable can only store a single value. So if the value is changed, the previous value is replaced with the new value. Variable must be declared in order to the program can allocate a memory to accommodate the specific data and process it in the program to obtain the appropriate output. So we must declare variable first. And C++ language has support variable declaration and initialization at once. You can see the example in this image. Actually, the initialization is also called as an assignment. That means the process of inserting value into variable using operator equals sign. From this example, the assignment process is inserting the data string or character set into each printable array from 0 until 4. And then I will tell you about constant. Constant is similar to variable but has a fixed value. Constant is a variable that defined by default value at the beginning, and typically the value is fixed and cannot change. Constant can contain values of integer, float, char, and string. And constant declaration can be done in two ways, using the hashtag define or keyword cons. Declaration of constant using hashtag define will be easier to do because it includes a preprocessor directive hashtag define. And this syntax is put together with the include statement above main function. This is the example of the syntax format. The syntax format is hashtag define and then constant name and then the value. Declaration using define not require an equal sign to input a value into the identifier, and it can be used without ended by semicolon notation. While the cons keyword, the declaration is similar to a variable declaration, but we need to add cons word at the beginning and initialize immediately. This is the example how we use keyword cons. You can see the syntax is const and then the data type and then the name of variable and then equals sign and then the value and then semicolon. For the last example, declare a zip variable without using a data type. If we don't use data type, so the compiler will automatically pass it into the integer type. Then I will show you the example of program using basic data types. This program makes the sum of two integers. You can see the program in this picture. The program starts with the include IOStream header and then using namespace std, and then the main function integer main and then bracket, then open curly bracket. First we need to declare the variable that are used to process the sum of two integers that are a and b. Type of data used in the variable a and variable b is an integer. We also declare the result variable to store the sum of result. And the second step is initialization. This step will initialize the variable a and b with initial values for the two variables that will be used. In this example, the value of a is 5 and b is 2. And then the third step is process. This step contains the sum process with the result formula is a plus b. Then the last step is finalization. Finalization is the step to end of the program, and it including display the result to the output device or screen and return 0. Return 0 is used to terminate and return a value. Because of our program use integer in the main function, so it needs a return value. Then we use return 0 in order to terminate the program easily. We already knew about the basic data types, variables, and constants. However, for processing more complex programs, sometimes we need a symbol or sign to apply to variables. This symbol or sign is called an operator. Operator is a symbol or a sign that if it put between on two operands, it can yield a result. The operator has several types. Next, I will show you the various of operators. First is arithmetic operators. The arithmetic operators can use for addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, remainder of division or modulo, and negation. And you can see the operator plus for addition, minus for subtraction, and then star for multiplication, slash for division, percent for remainder of division between two number or modulo. For example, 9 modulo 2 is 1 and then 9 modulo 3 is 0. Then minus is also used for negation operator. This operator is called an unary operator because it can require only a single operand. And then the other operator is relation operator. The relation operator can use to see the relation between two variables. You can see in this table, the relation operator can use to know if A equal to B, A not equal to B, A greater than B, A less than B, A greater than or equal to B, or A less than or equal to B. So we can use the relation operator to see the relation between two operands. And the next operator is increment and decrement operator. It can be used to increment and decrement of our variable. If we use a++, it means that variable a will add with 1, and then if we use b min, it means that the variable b will subtract with 1. And then the bitwise operator. Bitwise operator is used for left shift, right shift, bitwise AND, bitwise OR, bitwise XOR, bitwise NOT, and so on. And then logical operator. Logical operators are often used in selection or looping condition. This is the example logical operator for logical AND, OR, and NOT. Okay, I will show you the example of using logical operator in selection and looping condition. The first line shows the example of using selection condition, and the second line is used for looping condition. We must remember that the assignment operator should not be used in selection condition. The first line is wrong syntax because it uses assignment operator in selection condition, but for the second line, it's true, we can use logical operator in selection condition. And then about condition operator. Condition operator is noted with question mark that used to obtain the value of the possibilities. If the value of statement 1 is true, then the value is same with statement 2. But if the value is not true, the value is same as statement 3. Next, we will discuss how are the steps to implement a program with certain input and display the output of the result. Input operation is performed to read data or value that will be processed. The value of variable can be easily defined in the program or entered by the user from the keyboard using existing function in the C++ programming language library. In contrast to input operation, output operation is performed to send or display data or value to an output device, for example, a printer or screen monitor. The example of output operation is displaying a sentence to the screen, and it usually due to display a command to enter input value to the program, or we can use to display the value of a variable to display the result of calculation or to display the result of solution on the screen. In the C++ IOSM library, standard input and output operation for programming are supported by two data streams, cin for input and then cout for output. Standard input or cin use the overloaded extraction operator on the cin stream. The example of using cin can be seen in this following image. This example waits for input from cin from keyboard to be stored in the h variable. Command cin will process the input from the keyboard only once and the enter key must be pressed. Cin can also be used for more than one input with the following command. Cin and then the extraction operator and then A and then extraction operator again and then B and then we end it with semicolon, and this command is equivalent to cin overloaded extraction A semicolon and then cin overloaded extraction B and then semicolon. In this case, the input data must be two, one for A variable and another for B. We can separate the return of two variables using space, tabular, or newline. And standard output or cout use the overloaded insertion operator on the cout stream. This is the example to print the output sentence. On the first line, we will print the output sentence on the screen, and then the second line, we will print the number 120 on screen, and the third line, we print the content of the variable x on the screen. Note that in order to print data as a string, it must be enclosed in double quotes so that it can be distinguished from variable. This is the example. The first line will print the output phrase hello on the screen, and the second print the content of hello variable on the screen. And then the insertion operator can also be used more than once in the same sentence as this example. The benefit of repeating the insertion operator is to display a combination of one or more variables and constant. the age variable is filled with the number, for example, 18, and the age variable is filled with 2012. So we will get the output is, hello, I'm 18 years old and I'm a class of 2012. Furthermore, to create a new line character, we can use \n or we can use NL to create a new line character or enter. Usually cout is intended for screen and cin is intended for keyboard. By using these two streams, we can do interaction between user and computer. The user can see the result of the program on the screen monitor, and computer can receive input from the keyboard. Then I will show you the example of implementation input-output operation in C++. We can create a program that used to receive input from student with the data are student ID, name, age, address, and score. This program starts with the include IOStream header and then using namespace std. We also can use include conio.h. And then for the main function, the first step is to declare the variable that used and the data types. The variable that used for this process is variable student ID, name, and address. And the data type is character with a different size. Student ID, the size is 20, and then name is 20, and for the address, the size is 30. And then the age variable that has data type integer, and then score that has the data type is float because it consists of numbers that require the precision of the digits behind comma. So we use float. And the second step is initialization. Because this program receives direct input from the user, so it does not need to be initialized. The initialization value are obtained from user input. And the next step is process. In this step, it will read input from the user using cin function and display the result on the screen using cout. Then the last step is finalization. This step will stop the main function with the command return 0. If we compile the previous source code, we will get the result on the screen like this image. We will insert the student ID, name, address, age, and score, and we will get the output. Hello, student name, welcome to blah blah blah, and then displaying your data. Okay, that's all for discussion regarding the introduction to C++. Then I will show you the tutorial to create a program based on a study case using C++ programming language. So this is the dev C++ software. First, we need to create a new file. We can use file, new, and then source file. Or for make it simple, we can use Ctrl-N. I will show you the example of the program to sum of two integer value. The user will insert the value using keyboard, and then we will add two integer number, and then we show the output. First, we create include IOStream. This is the header or library function, and then we use using namespace std when we are going to main function. First step is declaration. We need to declare the variable a and b, and then the variable result. And then the next step is initialization. We need to initialize the variable. We use the input value from the user, so insert the number of A is blah blah blah, and then say into A and then C out again. Insert the number of B is okay, and then say into B, and then for the process we will create formula to sum two of integers, so result is A plus B. And then the last step is finalization. We want to print the result. The result is, and then result, and then and then we end this program using return 0. After that we save the program, for example sum.cpp, and then save, and then we run this program using run and compiler, or we can press F11 in here in the keyboard. So we will insert the number of A. For example, the number of A is 10, and then the number of B is 5. So we will get the result is 15. 15 is sum of A and B. Okay, so this is the end of our discussion about introduction to C++. Thank you for your attention and see you on the next video. Bye bye.